Train the muscles, not the joints. Well, welcome back to Gallant Bodybuilding, and it's that time of year again. So, as you can see, we got a bit of a snowstorm. So, Garrison, shout out to you on Patreon there, one of my Patreon supporters, Garrison Bai. I'd like to see you do some lunges in this stuff. Because there's no carpets, nothing. It's a little bit slippery. A lot of sports-specific sort of training would be going on here, because if you're out in the snow doing lunges in this stuff, yeah, you're gonna slip up and die. So I'm pretty sure you'll just die or spontaneously explode. I think explosions could happen. So one thing I wanted to talk about today, as I'm driving out here, and I'm gonna go get a coffee and stuff, so I'm just gonna bring you along for the drive in the snow here in the Gallant mobile there, So we're gonna have some conversations here. Should you be doing stability training or unstable training or non-stable training in your bodybuilding routine? Because I have seen bodybuilders use exclusively machines, guys like Dexter Jackson and stuff like that. And I understand there's other factors involved, but there have been bodybuilders that use exclusively machines in order to grow muscle mass. And then there are other people that they preach like everything to do with stability. Stability is better for sport-specific training, all this kind of stuff, so you should be doing that. One could say open chain movements as opposed to closed chain movements, or vice versa. So basically an open chain movement means there's not really a biofeedback based on stability or balance. And here's my theory on this, and here's why I think you should be doing both. First, let's go get a coffee. So here's the thing. Okay, now that I've arrived, I'll wait for a minute before I get my coffee here. But here's the thing. The reason why you want to do stability movements is because when you are doing stability exercises, there are certain muscles that come into play that are almost virtually non-existent during the prime mover movements if everything is stabilized. So sometimes the adductors, the muscles of the inner thigh, they get activated a lot when you're doing stability movements. And I noticed this from 1996. I did a bodybuilding show, and then I started incorporating one-legged squats that weren't stabilized, because before that I was doing Smith machine lunges. And then I started to do one-legged squats, or you could call them lunges, or a form of lunge, with free weight. And then the next bodybuilding show, I noticed I started having muscle tone in the inner thigh, right? So these are things that sometimes come into play when you're doing those stability exercises. Now, on the other hand, if you're doing stability exercises, but your balance is always the weak link, there will be some prime mover muscles that never get hit hard enough to really adapt. So sometimes your quads might not develop if you're always so busy stabilizing and you can't get enough balance to really push that quadricep muscle, but because basically your stabilizers are given out long before, like your inner thigh or your hip muscles, right? So you have to take these things into account. So doing both is a nice blend. So you're getting some muscle development in areas that you never would get by doing the stability movements, and then the stabilized movements, the movements that are stabilized, you're going to hit those prime movers in a level that you just couldn't do so in those unstabilized movements, right? So you want to combine them both up. Oh, snow, isn't it nice? So fresh. Oh, so this is a prime example of why I will do Smith machine lunges, because I love them. I think they're great, but at the same time, I still will do the walking lunge, and I still will do the step up, or I'll do the one-legged squat that is not stabilized in the squat rack, because each thing might look similar, but they do bring into play different muscle groups, and different muscles will actually hit failure because of it. So the point is, both have their advantages. Both have their advantages. In some ways, machines can help you put on more muscle, in some cases for sure. And that's why you may notice when you're doing super high reps with something, especially when you're hitting that really, really deep fatigue, you can do so with machines in a safer way, because honestly, if you're doing a stabilized movement and you hit absolute fatigue and then you collapse with the weight, that's obviously a danger. And of course, there are certain muscles that are stabilizing that have nothing to do with the area that you want to hit. So squats is a prime example. So say you're hitting a lot of lower back, a lot of hip, and then you want to hit legs, but legs are really where you want to focus all the power. You really want to focus on legs. Well, we know that squats fatigue the overall system quite a bit. So in order to push the legs a little bit harder, yeah, you might be doing something like a hack squat or a leg press, as much as I don't do hack squats, but they might be right for you. But maybe you want to do a leg press, or maybe you want to do something that has to do with the actual muscle group itself that you want to hit, hitting absolute failure, so that way it's forced to adapt instead of something else hitting failure first. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Even though I believe in doing whole body movements, and I believe for natural bodybuilders, doing whole body movements is absolutely essential for you to get real growth, because your body is a system and you want to stimulate the entire system, you still will get massive results from just hitting one or two muscle groups and hitting them right to failure. So that's where the machines can come into play. That's where the stabilized movements can come into play to get you bigger gains. So I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters. And if you need to get home, you just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and take care for now. Mountain.